Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah. We got you over here by me. Oh, you're at the very end. Yeah, it's all in alphabetical order, I guess.
Yeah.
It's surprising F is the beginning.
I know, right?
What? I'm going to start moving these around.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, no way am I first.
I like to be on the end, Julie. You know that. No, yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like no A's, no B's, no C's, no D's, no E's. Hold out. Not sitting next to you.
No, not like that, but,
Oh, oh, the other ones.
well, no, just as a heads up.
Oh. There might be some. Might have to tell Robbie some info.
And Julie, the way it's set up, your stream went live automatically as soon as we connected. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's okay. You're just going to have a longer video.
It's already live.
Yeah. We've got a whole slide on it anyways, but now we're good.
Okay.
But it's only 10 minutes earlier than we said anyway.
Yeah, well, and it's working, which is all I care about.
So they're not hearing anything right now or anything like that.
Good evening, everyone. How is everyone tonight? Good, good. We're all good. Everyone's clapping. That's good. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests and fellow citizens, welcome to the by-election forum presented to you by the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce and the City of Beaumont. We gather here today to engage in meaningful dialogue with the candidates who seek to represent us in our local government. My name is Catherine Hott, and I am the president of the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce. And I would like to take the time to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory. We honor the long-standing relationship Indigenous nations have had with this land, and we commit to working tougher towards reconciliation and mutual respect. The Beaumont Chamber of Commerce is committed to working with all businesses in Beaumont while helping to support, connect, and promote local business and entrepreneurs. Tonight's forum is for all Beaumont businesses and residents to hear from our candidates and to learn about their vision for our community. Before we proceed, let us take a moment to welcome the candidates who have dedicated themselves to public service by running in this by-election. Their commitment to our community is commendable, and we appreciate their presence here tonight. So I'm going to name them. I don't know if they're in the same order that they're on the table, so if they can just do a little wave, like the Queen, if that helps, or the King, sorry, the King now. Jordan Fernandez. There we go. Kashmir Gill. Paul Hyde. Ashley Kingsbury. Anthony Colesmith. Jeremy Cornell. Nathan Netelenbos, Philip Penrod, Yash Sharma, and Martin Stout. It's my pleasure to introduce Ken Colby, who's sitting right behind me here, our moderator for tonight's forum. Ken is a well-known face in Beaumont. He spent 2 decades on the Municipal Council for the City of Beaumont and was mayor for 12 of those years. He is the past president of the Alberta Chambers of Commerce, recently retired, and continues to live in Beaumont with his wife, children, and grandchildren. Thank you, Ken, for graciously giving your time to moderate this evening's events.
So I thought I told this section over here that I wanted to hear raucous applause and cheers, but I didn't. Yeah, too late. I noticed that the mayor and several councillors are here this evening. Maybe just raise your hand and give us a wave. Bill's in the back. Kat, Stephen, welcome. I also know that my good friend and former mayor, I don't refer to him as the old mayor, because I know how much that ticks me off when people call me the old mayor. But my friend, and I would have to say a colleague, and someone who, when we talk about election campaigns, we went back and forth, but we still remain friends after every election and still to this day. So, Camille, welcome. Okay, so tonight's forum will provide an opportunity for us to get to know the candidates, understand their positions on key issues, and gain insight into their visions for our community. We will cover a range of topics from local governance to community development. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions ahead of time, and encourage you, the audience, to actively participate. We have a few volunteers that will be circulating in the room. If you want to submit a question, now the one thing I must mention is that we don't have a whole lot of time here this evening, so we probably won't get to ask all the questions. Please submit them. We have had questions submitted online, and obviously those ones will go into priority, but we'll try to get in a few from the floor. To ensure that tonight's forum runs smoothly and fairly, we have established a few ground rules. We have a large number of candidates running in this by-election. For that reason, we will not have each candidate answer all the questions that have been submitted. We have randomly selected 5 candidates to answer each question at a time, and that will rotate. Each candidate will have a limited time to respond to each question, and our timekeepers will ensure that these rules are upheld. And I just direct the candidates over to that table there. There's a lovely orange display that will go orange when it's activated, and when it gets to 0, you will hear a key, and that is your key to stop talking. If you continue on after that, I will stop you. Okay? So don't make me embarrass you. But I want you to feel really at ease. I have not lost a candidate yet at any of these forums. We kindly ask the audience maintain a respectful and inclusive atmosphere throughout the event. Any questions deemed inappropriate, offensive, and derogatory, or that would seem to attack another candidate will be ruled out of order. Calling out of another candidate will result in that opportunity for that candidate to respond. Any person who unreasonably attempts to use the question period as a platform for expressing a point of view on any issue will be ruled out of order. Answers to questions will be limited to 1 minute, and I would ask the candidates, when you're answering during the question period, answer them from the tables. We have a mic that you can share back and forth. Candidates will have 1 minute after the question period to summarize their platform. Lastly, as my role as moderator, I've been told I will have final jurisdiction on all matters. Boy, power. More power than we had when we were mayor, right, Camille? Yeah. We will begin with our introduction of our candidates. Each candidate, please come to the forum when your name is called. You'll have 3 minutes to introduce yourselves, share your background, and highlight your motivations for seeking office. So what we're going to, these have been organized in alphabetical order. And the first candidate to be invited up is Jordan Fernandez. Jordan, please.
Oh, you're here, not there? Okay.
Come up here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what?
Wherever you feel comfortable.
Oh, yeah, I thought the first 3 minutes is up here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. Members of Beaumont, my name is Jordan Fernandez, and I am proud to stand before you today as a candidate for City Council in our vibrant and diverse community. I am here because I believe in the power of dedicated public service to bring positive change to our city. One of the reasons I'm running for City Council is because growing up, I lived in a city that experienced this rapid type of growth. I was fortunate enough to have my mother serve 2 terms on that City Council and fight tooth and nail for what she believed in and thought was right for the community. I was able to see these benefits firsthand as a child, as our green spaces, trails, public amenities were not whittled away and forgotten due to the pressure of constant and unchecked growth. Now, as a married father of 2, I see the future of my children at a crossroads, one I am willing to do my service to protect and fight for. My commitment is to a thriving, inclusive, and sustainable city. I'll champion responsible growth, preserving our heritage, engaging you, the public, in decision-making. Some of my key concepts I'd like to address during my time on council are the concerns with the land use bylaw, 24-hour policing, including fully funded protected services, fire and EMS, attracting new small business, protecting, maintaining, and expanding our parks, paths, and green spaces, and a better system for infrastructure, repair, and maintenance. I have a proven record of leadership all throughout my life that I can bring into the council chamber. But this isn't about me, it's about us. Together, we can build a city that serves everyone. Join me in shaping our future. Let's create a brighter, better city for all. Thank you for your support.
Thanks, Jordan. Next up is Kashmir Gill. Cash.
Actor Morgan Freeman once said, "Be strong but not rude. Be kind but not weak. Be humble but not shy. Be proud but not arrogant." Ladies and gentlemen, fellow candidates, and everyone online, hello et bonjour. Thank you for participating in this forum this evening. My name is Kashmir Gill, although many of my friends call me by my name, Cash. Our community is at a pivotal moment, with one step firmly rooted in our historical past and the other treading carefully towards a new future. Just like you, I've watched Beaumont evolve, and I've heard your concerns. You've also said that you have high hopes and aspirations. To reach our potential, we need more than just change. We need transformation, a balance of aspirational vision, experience, and a steady hand to move forward together. Not in fear, but with confidence and stability. Many of these aspirations are embodied in the Council Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026 that some of you may have seen. I will bring that experience and steady hand to Council and more. Together, we will move Beaumont from what it is now to what it needs to be in the future. The cornerstone of my election platform is broadening our revenue stream to support our service needs, infrastructure, and managed growth. A key pillar in this economic development and tax-based diversification. Tax-based diversification is the idea of expanding our sources of revenue. By doing this, we ensure that the financial burden to run the city doesn't fall heavily on our residents or a single sector of our economy. Instead, we draw from varied sources, creating a resilient financial structure. The direct benefit will be lower residential and commercial property taxes, consistent revenues for essential services, robust infrastructure, and a healthy reserve for seizing new opportunities. With this revenue model, I'll work with council members on enhancing community programs, delivering municipal services, and supporting local businesses so that Beaumont is vibrant, progressive, and financially healthy. Programs for our children, youth, seniors, and families are essential to the quality of life, but they need to be affordable and accessible. We also cannot neglect our infrastructure, both physical and digital. I'll push for regional partnerships. The potential to foster collaborations and draw investment opportunity to this town are essential. I think my time is running out. I'm invested in taking Beaumont forward as you are. My name is Kashmir Gill. On October 23rd, please consider voting for me. Thank you.
So Cash, I'm not sure whether you saw it going down in time or you felt the specter of me getting up behind you to tap you on the shoulder. Next up on the list is Paul Hyde. Paul?
Thank you, Ken, and the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce, my fellow candidates, as well as everyone has taken an interest in our community by being here this evening or watching at home. In my business, I look after the health, well-being, and prosperity of my clients. It's no different for a councillor, except you're responsible for the city. The first two pillars of my platform are about the health and well-being of the city of Beaumont. The first pillar, community-focused, means that I am committed to the well-being of Beaumont by supporting its many community groups and prioritizing safety through proper funding for policing and fire services. This also includes the commitment to the business community to work with the administration to reduce red tape and expedite permits. The second pillar, accessibility for all, is health-related and includes our seniors, our marginalized community, as well as children and adults with disabilities. All should have access to local recreation and medical services. The third pillar, fiscally responsible governance, is related to the prosperity of Beaumont, ensuring that we have a sustainable plan for growth with minimum tax increases. Each project needs to be weighed against the priorities of the present and what will be needed in the future. I bring a strong voice to council to ensure project costs are kept reasonable and infrastructure is maintained. I believe that my experience as a storefront business owner in Beaumont, combined with my community service and dedication to our city, makes me the right candidate, and I would be honored to serve as your councillor. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Next up is Ashley Kingsbury.
Hello, I'm Ashley Kingsbury. I am both excited and terrified to be standing up here, quite frankly. Okay, so a little bit about me. I moved to Beaumont just over 3 years ago. I came from Spruce Grove. I don't know if anybody else is from that way. And from the moment that we entered Beaumont, I would joke with people that it felt like a lake community, not with the lake, like with the downtown core. It was just so cute. You wouldn't know it was a city. And I've always loved this community. For me, I started walking to the public market, and I really loved the public market. And from there, I wanted to be a vendor. I have a home-based baking business, and for me, I really understand the home-based businesses and the fact that they do need support. And some of them want to move to brick and mortar and some of them don't. So I'd love to be able to help them do that if they so choose. But from that experience, from that, I decided that I wanted to vend my product at the market. I could not get a hold of anybody for the life of me. So I contacted the city, and they said that whoever was running the market before disappeared off the face of the planet, so I was excited to, take it over, and I kind of fell into that. And I certified it as a farmer's market, which is a whole lot of work and administrative and stuff, and I won't bore you with that. And from there, I was asked by the city to help with Beaumont Days with the market side of things. So I helped coordinate the vendors for the market. And then from there, I met Julie with the Chamber of Commerce, and I was asked to sit on the board for the Chamber of Commerce, and I've been doing that for the last 2 years. So I sit on a board for our farmers market, I sit on a board for the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce, and I sit on a committee for the Beaumont District and Ag Society as well for Rural Roots. And things that I really want to bring is hopefully relatability. I hope that some of you can relate to me, being a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 little ones. I have a 7-month-old. She just turned 7 months yesterday, actually. And so that's why I was kind of like running in last minute because I had to feed her. And I hope that I can bring the relatability as a stay-at-home working mom that is, working hard for her family, working hard for her community, and hopefully we can grow together. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Ashley. Next up is Anthony Colesmith.
Hello, Beaumont. Bonsoir. Thank you very much to the Chamber for organizing this event. And thank you, Mr. Cobley, for moderating. And thank you to the city for facilitating the live stream. My name is Anthony Colesmith, and I'm running for Beaumont City Council. My ties to this community go back 27 years when I came to Beaumont to attend high school in French immersion. And those were more than just an education. I forged lifelong friendships, including one very special friendship with my wife, Marjorie. And after moving away and establishing our careers in Edmonton and starting a family, Marge and I decided to make the choice to move to Beaumont 7 years ago with our 2 young children. We wanted our kids to grow up here and to go to school here. Beaumont for us is about family. It's a place where you can feel comfortable letting your kids wander and explore, ride their bikes around the neighborhood, and enjoy the parks with their friends. I decided to run for council because this city's given me a lot. It's played a significant role changing my life, and now I want to give back. I want to ensure that our residents' voices are heard and that the information and services that they need are readily available. I want to ensure that we aren't inadvertently pushing opportunities away by unduly complicating processes. And the city is growing significantly and it continues to evolve rapidly. I'm committed to ensuring that this expansion is done responsibly, fairly, with consideration to the current residents and Beaumont's ability to provide effective services and infrastructure. And I'm committed to the responsible expenditure of municipal funds. Projects and initiatives must provide a demonstrable benefit, and they must be mindful of our budgets. And furthermore, I'm dedicated to identifying efficiencies and exploring avenues to minimize the tax burden on our residents and businesses. I hope you'll work with me to foster a bright future for Beaumont by choosing responsible growth, financial prudence, and effective services by voting for Anthony Colesmith on Election Day. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. At the risk of shaming someone whose cell phone just went off. Can you put it on buzz, please? I was on an event one time with Chief Willie Littlechild, and it was a First Nations conference on economic development. And Chief Littlechild said, "We have a tradition. You turn off your cell phone when you present at these events. If you don't turn off your cell phone and it goes off, you have to do a traditional First Nations dance." So I better check to make sure my cell phone's off. Okay, so next up is Jeremy Cornell.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I thought about doing this as a wrap, but I don't think you guys are ready for that. So, why vote for Jeremy Cornell? That is the question I am here to answer. So, I stand before you today as someone who's proudly called Beaumont home for the past 17 years. I've raised a family here, watched some of my children grow up and move on, while others have remained and are raising their own families here. Since 2007, I have been an active volunteer in our community, giving over 15,000 hours of my time to Beaumont, working closely with city administration and various iterations of councils over the years to support numerous events and initiatives, including the creation of the city arts policy and my ongoing role as the chair of the Beaumont Arts Council since 2018. In my professional life, I have a long track record of project management, managing budgets, planning, scheduling for multi-million-dollar projects. And on the side, I've been successfully running a not-for-profit society since 2008, an experience which has honed my skills in structured budget management and planning, because there's no room for deficit spending in the nonprofit sector. Like many of you, I moved here to escape the hustle and bustle of Edmonton. I sought a place where my children could enjoy freedom to play outside, access excellent schools, and participate in a myriad of extracurricular activities, spanning arts, music, sports, dance. I wanted a community with vibrant events where we could gather with friends and neighbors, where essential services and facilities were within easy reach. Beaumont offers this and more, which is why it's become one of the fastest growing communities in Canada. I'm running this year to represent all of you who, like me, want to see our town prosper while preserving the community values that initially drew us here. As councillor, I will leverage my influence to plan not only for growth, but also to safeguard our unique community values. I will be a staunch advocate for the safety of our city, ensuring our streets are secure 24/7 for our children and future generations through robust policing and municipal enforcement efforts. I will champion our healthcare needs, working closely with Government of Alberta and AHS to ensure our city's healthcare services, including after-hours, walk-in, and emergent care needs are met for the future. With my extensive project management and leadership background, I'll ensure that our decisions are smart, fiscally responsible, and aimed at creating a financially sustainable community for the long term. My commitment to community involvement and volunteerism will continue fostering the warm and neighborly environment that we all cherish. We all understand the pressures of rising costs in our daily lives, from groceries to utility bills and, of course, taxes. Rather than standing here and making some empty promises, I believe in proactive action. I pledge to use my project management and not-for-profit management experience to make a tangible difference. I don't have all the answers, but I can promise you my unwavering commitment to scrutinize every dollar that is spent, question proposed expenditures, and seek out cost-saving opportunities that will benefit you, the residents of Beaumont. Together, we can navigate these challenges and ensure a prosperous future for our community. My aim is to do what's best for Beaumont, for all of you, a safe, prosperous community that we can all take pride in calling home. Right on the money.
And he's a handyman, too. He can fix things. Okay, next up is Nathan Tellenboss.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ken. Really appreciate everyone being here. I think that's where I want to start here. I know it takes time out of your day, time out of your family time to come and meet all of us, and we really appreciate it. It's super important you get to know us and you vote for the right candidate. Second to that, I think it's important living in the community that we do live in. Je pense que c'est important que je partage avec tout le monde, que je aussi parle français. I am also bilingual, and the kids are taking the same path I have taken. Since the kids have been young, I've been here about 10 years now, we decided that Beaumont was going to be the place that we were going to raise our kids, and we're very thankful for it. Myself, I've been heavily involved in the community. I've been vice president of Beaumont Soccer for the past 6-7 years. My wife's heavily involved in the school, and of course the kids are involved in all the sports and activities within the community. So we understand the importance of having the right facilities and infrastructure in place. I think secondary to that, but just as important, is I come from a family of law enforcement. So My dad was Calgary Police 31 years, chief of police in Slave Lake. I've also been a peace officer. My wife was a peace officer. So I understand the importance of protecting a community and making sure that we get ahead of the game and be proactive so that everyone is safe and that our kids are protected. I also come from I am a proud family man, someone who's, like I said, lived in the community for many years, so I've seen a lot of the changes. I've also seen some of the issues, so I really realize if you want to solve a problem, you need to be part of the solution. So that's one of the reasons that I'm standing here right now, wanting to represent the community and make it a better place. In terms of specifics, as I mentioned, policing is a big thing, but included in that is also making sure we have fire services here to protect us, especially if we're looking at developments, things such as zero lot lines, where if one of those houses go up, you know how bad that can go. So we got to make sure we have the infrastructure and support here to take care of that. Community engagement, everyone's voice is important here, and I want to be that voice. So making sure that I communicate with everyone as much as I can and get your guys' opinion so that we can bring that to the table and represent the community. 35 seconds, okay. Youth development, super important for me. Again, having 2 young children, making sure that there's a path forward in terms of education, making sure we have enough schools in place, obviously working with the provincial government to make that happen. Also, just as important is our senior community and making sure that they have the resources available so that they can get the care that they need. So things like looking at an urgent care center, although a longer-term goal, because we obviously have to work with the provincial government, it's a goal on my agenda. Anyways, vote for Nathan Natellenboss. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now let's see if I can do this. Next up is Philip Penrod. Philip, it's now your problem.
I can roll with that. Thank you, Moderator Cobley. Good evening, Mayor Daniluk, councillors, Executive Director Geldert, respected candidates and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs. I'm going to skip the bio because I've already personally delivered it to every one of your houses, with the exception of apartments. So if you want to meet me halfway and buzz me in, I'll get it to your door. We're not even supposed to be here tonight. In 2021, we elected a group of individuals to represent us until 2025. And those individuals formed a team, and together they crafted a strategic plan and governed ably, maybe not perfectly, but ably over the last 2 years. On June 27th, I was sitting at the playground of Bellevue School, enjoying the end-of-the-year picnic with my neighbors, our kids, and their classmates, dreaming of summer adventures to come, when all of a sudden my phone started to buzz, ringing with the news of Councillor Tessier's resignation. My friends and neighbors began to reach out to ask if I would run for office again. I ran in 2021, met many of you then. Then, of course, a little over 2 months later, the news was followed by a second resignation, Councillor Miller's. And I want to take this opportunity tonight to thank Renee and Ashley for their service on behalf of the city and for their contributions to the good direction in which we are headed. I thank them as well for their willingness to share with me about their accomplishments in office and the work they set out to do that remains to be completed. Friends, our city council is midstream on critical work that will impact the character and viability of Beaumont for decades to come. And this work must now be done in the midst of a national affordability crunch. Inflation and the higher interest rates being used to curb it continue to challenge business and household budgets alike. Meanwhile, Alberta is facing a housing crisis that has created an urgent demand for supportive and affordable housing to be built with every community and jurisdiction needing to do its part. You know what else we can't afford? We can't afford to have our council shorthanded for an extra month or week or even an extra day while our new councillors adjust to the demands and constraints of their jobs and organize their calendars. We need to elect candidates in this by-election who can work within the existing team and plan, making meaningful contributions from the moment they are sworn in. My name is Philip Penrod, and I'm ready to serve Beaumont. It's like Excalibur. Yeah, it's good.
Wow, you could have planned that speech to hit 3 minutes exactly. Next up is Yash Sharma.
Thank you and welcome, folks. My name is Yash Sharma, Master's in Chemistry, small business owner, Community Event Committee, City of Beaumont, twice on the term, and Board of Director, Beaumont 50 Plus Club. Thickly involved with community. I have been going to events. You have been meeting me while door knocking, and you have been meeting me at Beaumont 50 Plus Club. It was loud and clear to me that you are concerned about taxes, you are concerned about delay in permits, you are concerned about public safety, and all these are very important to every Beaumontonian. This can only be achievable if we are all together and if we focus on our issues. And for that matter, we have to be united. For that matter, we have to be involved. For that matter, we have to be focused on each and everything down the line. There would be so many other issues, which of course I would like to answer while you are asking me questions. But one thing is sure, that we should be involved and we should take care of our kids, our families, our seniors. This city is growing manifold. We want resources. Where from the resources will come? Residential income tax is not sustainable enough to serve our city. We are only dependent on provincial grants. We want to sustain, we want to get commercial tax base in city. We want to welcome investors. We want to gain their confidence, and we want to provide them excellent service. For that matter, with my experience of journalism, I publish newspaper for the last 13 years. I'm connected with every level of government, whether federal, provincial, or our investors, so I can surely deliver the goods. Look forward to answering your questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, last but not least on the introductions is Martin Stout.
What am I going to do with this thing? Okay, good evening, Beaumont. Bonsoir. My name is Martin Stout, as you've heard. I'm a retired IT consultant with a degree in mechanical engineering. I've lived in Beaumont for more than 30 years with my wife, Amanda. We've raised 3 beautiful daughters here because Beaumont's such a great place for families and remains so. I'm not bilingual, but my daughters all are. I served on council from 2017 to 2021, but was not re-elected, so I'm running again now, because I want the opportunity to do 3 things. First thing, keep municipal taxes low. Businesses and residents in Beaumont are both currently suffering from a triple whammy of rising interest rates on debt, rising inflation, and rising taxes. Now, a municipality can't really influence the first 2, but what we can do is reduce the rate of municipal tax increases. The 4 budgets I approved as councillor increased municipal levies per household by between 0 and 2%. That was pretty much the lowest rises in 20 years. But in the last 2 budgets, when I wasn't on council, tax rises have been significantly higher. According to my own calculations, which are based on Beaumont's published budget numbers and on Alberta government population stats, that shows that the amount of municipal tax levied per Beaumont resident rose by an average of 1.65% between 2018 and 2021, but by 6.4% in 2022 and over 6% in 2023. So tonight, I'd like to ask you to give me the opportunity to try and get those increases back down to the 0 to 2% range again. Second thing, expand facilities and services prudently to meet demonstrated needs. When I was on council, we approved new Beaumont Sport and Recreation Centre, new outdoor football field, 5 new baseball diamonds, 12-acre off-leash dog park, and 2 new outdoor hockey rinks. But as Beaumont continues to grow, it will, or already does, need expanded facilities for firefighting, EMS, ambulances, library services, city office, and many others like eco-stations, a performing arts stage, a women's shelter, an RV dump. And many residents, of course, also favor immediate 24/7 police presence. I believe that all of these are needed to some varying degree, but they also carry a price tag that must inevitably be borne by the municipal taxpayer. So again, tonight I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to assess the benefits and costs of each before approving the funding for any. Last one, stop inefficient or wasteful programs. We spend a lot of money, taxpayers' money, on services that don't always deliver the desired results. Beaumont Transit, for instance, service costs were $73 per rider each way in 2022. Council responded, cut the transit operations by 50%, reduced costs to $39 per rider each way. But that's still really not any cheaper than a taxi or an Uber ride most days. I'd like to reform that, reduce that cost, or stop wasting money in that way. So tonight I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to do just that. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. Okay, so now we're going to move on to a series of structured questions. Just a reminder, if you have a question, where are the sheets of paper? Over there, put up your hand, or just walk over there, grab a piece of paper, sign it, and give it back to them. The structured questions are each designed to address critical issues facing our community. Candidates, you will have 1 minute to respond to each question, and we ask that you stay within these time limits. Everybody did a really good job with the 3 minutes on the intros. Our timekeepers will provide signals to help you manage your time effectively. As we proceed with the questions, we encourage the candidates to articulate your positions clearly and concisely. Our audience is eager to learn more about your perspectives on these important matters. Just a reminder that if you do have questions, again, just wave and they'll make sure that you get a sheet of paper. Okay, so this is what we would refer to as the lightning round. Okay, anybody remember password or reach for the top? Of course not, you're all younger than me. But this is the lightning round. So this is the point where candidates get to make extra points. There will only be 5 of the candidates that will answer each question at a time. Okay, so all candidates, pay attention. I'm going to ask the first question, and then we have a list of 5 people that will answer. Red tape is a word often used on how regulations hold back economic growth. Can you provide specific bylaw or zoning issues that you would address if elected to reduce costs for businesses and create jobs? First up is Jordan Fernandez.
Thank you, Ken. First off, thank you for your question. As we all know, the ongoing issue with the business in Beaumont is high rental costs, vacancies. If I had my way, tax breaks would be a huge incentive to attract new business here, as well as not adding any additional burdens to the taxpayers. We're not adding anything, we're not going to pay anything. Another idea is a possible subsidy program. This looks a little better for the businesses as they get grants and money to come here, but that is a little more of a burden on the taxpayer. I believe in giving them 2 options, multiple options for the businesses to come to Beaumont, but something that is good enough for them to move here. We have a median age of 35 in Beaumont and an average annual household income of $130,000 per household. That is the second highest in Alberta, and we need to explore ways to utilize these facts to attract small businesses because we have the money, we have the population to support these businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Philip Penrod.
Thank you. I want to take a page out of our former premier's book and reject the premise of the question, if I might. I'd like to reply, red tape. Which red tape? Are we talking about the rules that govern the safe preparation of food to be served to our children in daycare or out-of-school care settings? I wonder how the fine people of Calgary feel about that particular red tape this month. Those regulations have turned out to be pretty important to uphold and to enforce. Now, can we make it easier for businesses to come here and to remain here? Can we make it easier for homeowners to improve their property in ways that help them to be better neighbors? Can we work with home-based businesses to grow into storefront spaces when the timing and market forces are right? I think we can. My emphasis on collaborative innovation says that the best way to accomplish these goals is to engage with stakeholders meaningfully before and during the process.
Next up, Kashmir Gill.
This is actually one of my pillars for my election platform. My past experience and current experience as a co-owner of 4 small businesses in different market segments. I also have a 25-year career with the National Research Council supporting the growth of thousands of companies. So I know what makes successful companies and how companies fail. And I also like to make a distinction between the needs of retail businesses and the tech companies that I want to attract to Beaumont. For all types of businesses, I think it's essential that we do reduce red tape. There is a lot of bureaucratic process that could be removed and made more efficient. And I would also like to promote entrepreneurship through mentorship and training programs. We don't need to create anything new. There's lots out there, and I can bring that to Beaumont. For tech companies where the risks and regards are much higher than in retail, I would explore.
Thank you. I know it's tough to answer questions in a minute. Anthony Colesmith.
Okay, thank you. So I've already spoken to a lot of businesses about this and many homeowners. A couple of specific instances that I would get changed are the permitting process and the time it takes to get things through that office. I'm told it takes us an extra month to build a home in Beaumont as compared to other municipalities. That's certainly hurting some of our business and pushing certain builders away. I've talked to other businesses who said they felt unsupported by the business process here and lost and had been given fines for things they'd been told to do, and then later things changed. So those are specific instances. Also, we're one of the only municipalities that won't let us do the rough grade until occupancy has taken place in a home, causing builders to have to come back a second time. It's also putting homeowners at risk because the grade is there to shed water away, and if you move into the home and that grade isn't done and you flood, you may not be covered by insurance. So, thank you.
Thank you. Last, Yash Sharma.
Being owner of small business in Beaumont, I staunchly believe that our practice of buy local, support local should be on every level, and Chamber of Commerce should also help us with this issue. At the same time, when I see door knocking, our people are struggling with their taxes and their lease money. If we provide them subsidized place somewhere, maybe in Innovation Park, we can get tons of businesses coming to the city, and getting permit in a timely fashion is a big challenge. We have to also address that issue.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Sorry. Public-private partnerships provide an opportunity to build the infrastructure we need while allowing the private sector to help us get the best deal possible. If elected, how will you work with elected colleagues to engage the private sector to participate in building major infrastructure in our community and region? And first up is Paul Hyde.
Oh, that's heavy.
Thank you, Ken. Yes, so this is a big one. Obviously, I've lived in Leduc County most of my adult life, and from Thorsby to Leduc County, the whole bit, and then settled in Beaumont about 12 years ago. Tanya DeBlanco, who is the mayor of Leduc County, is definitely a good friend and somebody I've known for a long time, as well as many of the councillors out there. We have to have good relationships with all the community around us, especially Leduc County, because they're on our borders. And also, of course, the city of Edmonton. But we have to partner with them on large projects such as recreation in order to get larger things done. The county comes and uses our recreation facilities here. They should share in the cost of the recreation facilities as well. So my idea, of course, is to partner with Leduc County, partner with these people to build larger recreation centers and have more of a presence for everybody in the surrounding community as well as Beaumont. Share the cost.
Thank you. Ashley Kingsbury.
Thank you. When it comes to this, I believe that if you look at many other communities, these types of things are sponsored, whether they're sponsored by companies, real estate agents, or whatever it is, and it helps to offset some of the costs. For example, if we wanted to overhaul the spray park, which we have a population of 25% is children, and we're growing massively, and we just don't have the parks and everything that we should have. Why can't these things be sponsored? Why can't we look to different realtors or look to different businesses to ask them to help sponsor these rec centers, sponsor the spray park, sponsor whatever? I think we're one of the few communities that doesn't do that, doesn't have that, and I would love to be on that and be really steamrolling that.
Okay, thank you. Jeremy Cornell.
Okay, 1 minute. I think we can all agree that the current model in Beaumont is not sustainable and hasn't been for many years, with primary tax base being residential with very small percentage, less than 5% commercial and industrial. So we need to solve the barriers to business and attract investments into Beaumont, which our current council has been doing a great job of. It's a pillar of the strategic plan for the next few years. And I believe that private and public partnerships are definitely a great option that should be explored. We should be working with corporations, companies, and other investors to bring business to Beaumont. I think we've all heard about the technology park that is coming. I think that is a great opportunity, and I think it offers a great potential for the future of Beaumont. And working with these investors in a partnership is certainly a strong way to go about getting investment in Beaumont. Thank you.
Thank you. Nathan Tallenboss.
Perfect, thanks so much. Yeah, absolutely, these are critical items. Whether we're working with public services or local government to get sponsorship and bring in different organizations, and as I had mentioned there, even a healthcare facility, but also working with the private groups. I'll just give a simple example. You look at a hotel, for example, that has a pool facility within it. Not only are you getting a hotel, which increases tourism, you're getting a pool that we can actually use and provide swimming lessons to our children. It is frustrating seeing that we don't have that kind of stuff available. Obviously, it takes a lot of work. You need an economic development team, which again is in action. So working with those private groups and encouraging them through incentives to come join Beaumont betters everything for us. Again, it reduces cost as a taxpayer, but it also allows us to have some of those facilities and infrastructure that we desperately need as we continue to grow.
Thank you. Martin Stout.
Thanks. Turned on. Yes, I was, when I was on council again, I was part of the council that made a major land purchase over on the south side of 625 to host an innovation park. With full investment in that will be something like $300 million. Most of that money coming privately or from other levels of government. But the only reason that was possible was because we worked hard with one of the core tenants, the AMTA, Alberta Motor Transport Association, to make that a possibility, and other organizations as well. So I'm very much in favor of pursuing that. That will switch the residential, non-residential balance in Beaumont from 93% 7 to something more like 80-20, which we're desiring of. But there's more work to be done.
Thank you. Okay, next question. There is no arguing the problematic lack of access to primary health care in Alberta. Beaumont seems to have an even greater catastrophic lack of access to any healthcare services for a city of our size. What are your thoughts on increasing access to healthcare for Beaumont residents? And I'm going to start off with Nathan, the Tellenboss.
Okay, I'll start off here with a minute's not enough to cover this topic, that's for sure. But what I want to say is it's going to be a long-term goal in the sense that this isn't going to happen tomorrow. We have to be realistic about it. Our biggest asset, similar to the last question, would be working with the provincial government. We have a national health crisis that's not new to everyone. So it's one thing to get a facility here, but then we got to make sure that it has the support staff and the physicians to obviously work there. So it even ties into working with the provincial government so that they can work with, obviously, our federal government. So yes, 100%, this framework needs to go in now so that we have an urgent care that can support our young kids, our seniors, and our general population. One way to offset that cost is something that I think we should be taking advantage of, and I know I'm going to get caught short here, so I'm going to save it for my closing statement. But yeah, we need to get this in place, and we need to get it in place now.
Thank you. Kashmir Gill.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah, I think we all know that healthcare is really a provincial mandate. But having said that, we need to establish strong relationships with our elected officials, both at the provincial and federal level, that we're at the table identifying some of the needs of our seniors and other members. My approach would be slightly different. Again, it's a long term. I think with the innovation park that we've invested on the south side, there's an opportunity for us to actually start thinking about building medical training facilities there. I think if we can start that training for X-ray and other needs of our residents, that will show the province that we are actually real and serious. We want to be at the table and provide those services because I think those are essential services. Can we do it on our own? Absolutely not. But do we need to be at the table? Absolutely yes. So we do have to drive it, and I believe sincerely that if we're at the table, we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip Penrod.
Thank you. So I've got skin in this game. My wife is a local family physician and does low-risk maternity care out of the Grey Nuns. And over the past 5 years, I've seen her come home in tears too many times. Knocking on doors when people find out she's a doctor, what's the first question I get asked?
Is she taking a patient?
She's not, and it breaks her heart. That's out of her control for good reasons. The college mandates the levels of patients a physician can see so that you can see your physician, if you're lucky enough to have one, in a timely fashion. This isn't an issue, as others have said, that we solve in a week or a year. It's a 10-year project at least, but we need to get at it. This is about relentless engagement. It's about collaborative innovation. And so really interesting things happening down at Beaumont Wellness, and I had a wonderful meeting with the owners there. This is a place where we can involve our businesses and our competitive advantage in the tech space that's growing here in Beaumont.
Ashley Kingsbury.
Okay, so as so many other people are touching on, healthcare is a touchy issue. It's a issue all across the board here. And as somebody who does have health challenges, I am somebody who does have health challenges, I understand the need for it. I have to go everywhere. I have to go to the west end, to the north side. I have to go at Leduc. I have to go everywhere but in Beaumont to take care of my health. And I understand how big of the issue this is. A part of the issue is looking at these companies like Insight or whatever and understanding what do they need from us? What do they need in the community? What are their metrics to build facilities here? Because it's millions of dollars for them. What do they need for the metrics? Who needs to start that conversation? Has this conversation been started yet? these are questions that I have and that I would like to bring to council and really start digging into that. And like they said, it's a long-term thing. So, but thank you.
Thank you. Yash Sharma?
Smaller cities like Devon, they have hospitals, and we don't have even walk-in clinic, which is need of the hour. So what I understand is that City of Beaumont collaboratively should evolve themselves with provincial government and continuously lobbying is the desire to have at least walk-in clinic in the city. And for that matter, corporations can also be, their doors can be knocked, but provincial government has to be persuaded at every level to have walk-in clinic at the earliest. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is going to be the last question before the first break. We're here for 5 hours, by the way. Everybody knew that? Yeah, okay. Bet you wish you stayed home and watched the streaming. Okay, so this question. How will you actively engage with businesses and residents to ensure their voices are heard in decision making? And I'm going to start off with Jeremy Cornell.
Okay, well, that's a pretty open-ended question, engaging with residents and businesses. Obviously, that's a very widely encompassing area. I think the work that this current council has been doing to engage with the community has been amazing. We've seen a lot of public forums and a lot of public engagement through social media on a number of topics, conducting surveys and those sorts of things. And I really feel like they've taken steps forward immensely in the engagement with the community. And I think we need to continue that work and continue advocating for our administration to also be involved in those engagements with the community and with the businesses. We see our mayor on social media out visiting businesses all the time, and that's great. And I'd like, as a councillor, I would like to be involved in that sort of thing as well. And just getting out there and really just hearing the issues firsthand and knowing what people are feeling and what they're thinking. And that's it.
Thank you. Martin Stout.
There we go. We ready? Good. Okay, yes, agree with Jeremy regarding that. That's a broad issue. There's a lot of ways we can do that. Particularly impressed with the way the mayor's taken time out to do coffee meetings and chats with people who want to come and raise issues. Certainly something I'd want to include in my repertoire of, as well as using the local businesses when I can and walk in the streets. I spend a fair amount of time on I spend a fair amount of time bicycling as well, but people are unable to engage me doing that, I think. But I do get to see a lot of the town. Consequently, yeah, it's making myself open. Social media too. I'd certainly like to expand my presence there and welcome input and feedback from residents and businesses alike.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anthony Goldsmith.
Hi there, thanks. So this one, like I said, it's a very broad question, but very important. And how do you hear the concerns from the people and businesses? That involves engagement with community groups and advocacy groups, much like the Chamber. It involves surveys and mechanisms for community feedback. They need to be able to let you know what's going on, and making myself available so that people can share their concerns, and actively going out, like I said, to the businesses and different groups, and engaging with people and having an honest conversation to hear their thoughts and hear what's going on. And wow, that is not a minute. That feels. I
You
got
got
plenty
another
of time.
22
I'm gonna
seconds,
relax.
Anthony.
I'm going to relax. I breeze through it. No, it really involves just getting out there and engaging with the different groups. These groups exist already, and people are really good at telling you what's wrong if you go out and listen. And it's making a point to go out there and listen and hear what they have to say, and just engage with those groups. And I'll give you 2 minutes. Seconds.
Okay, so Anthony, I'm going to give you a pro tip.
Yes.
If you ever find yourself with extra time on a question, just keep saying, vote Anthony Colesmith, vote Anthony Colesmith, vote Anthony
Vote
Colesmith.
for me.
All right? Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, okay, I will. Jordan Fernandez, Jordan Fernandez, Jordan Fernandez, Jordan Fernandez, Jordan Fernandez.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go the opposite direction. I really don't think this is that broad of a question, guys. Like, I've been canvassing and campaigning for 2 months now. I've knocked on over 2,500 doors personally. We know that this day and age is very online, very technical. There's lots of pages, groups, people. But when you really break it down, it's talking to you guys. It's going to FCSS, going to the farmer's market. It's doing stuff like that. And a lot of people view council as a part-time job. And it's not a part-time job. You are working day and night. You have stacks and stacks of stuff to read, and you talk to people, and you see, and you hear, and you go over the things that are the concerns, and you talk to the businesses, and you do what Bill does, and you go there, and you discuss, and that's what you need to do. Vote for Jordan Fernandez, vote for Jordan Fernandez, vote for Jordan Fernandez. That's 15 seconds of a lot. That's a lot.
Oh, young Jedi, you have learned. I share with you, my name's Ken Cobley, but at the office with the Alberta Chambers, they used to refer to me as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ken Cobley, sorry. Paul Hyde.
Sorry, Paul.
Arm's not quite long enough. So basically, I'm the liaison in the Chamber of Commerce. I've been in the Chamber of Commerce for quite some time, and I work with them. The Chamber of Commerce is a great advocacy for business, so we learn firsthand what the issues are going on with businesses here in town. I also have a storefront business here in town, so that gives me a whole different perspective on things. Permits, bylaws, things like that. Our sign permits are sometimes taking up to 3 months to get done. That's unacceptable. We need to make business easier in Beaumont and easier to do in Beaumont. We have to help people through the bylaws. We have to help people through the permitting process. We can't just hand it to them and say, here you go, send me in the stuff. That doesn't work. Let's try to help businesses. And because I have a storefront business in your town, I understand the issues that go on. I understand it from the chamber perspective. And so when I'm on council, I'm going to take that to the other side. And I'm going to be a voice for business.
Okay, thank you. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a 10-minute break, health break, and the moderator has to use the washroom, so that's the reason why we got a 10-minute break. I know, too much information. Okay, so we're going to be gone for 10 minutes, come back in 10 minutes, and those people viewing at home, come on back in 10 minutes, because I promise you the next question is a rip snorter. Okay, and we're back. I can see why they don't have intermission at church. It looks like we've lost a few people during the intermission. All right, question number 5. And I'm going to preface this with a little bit of explanation because I think I know what the person who wrote this is trying to get at. There are 2 mill rates in a municipality, one residential, one commercial, okay? So if you're in a commercial or an industrial or a business location, you pay a higher mill rate or a higher taxes per $1,000. So having said that, hopefully I just didn't muddy it and make everybody more confused. Okay, home-based, and I promised the folks at home this would be a rip snorter. Watch the Facebook groups tomorrow. Home-based businesses have a distinct advantage over a storefront in many ways. One of the advantages is the lower property tax rate, which I just talked about, that they enjoy. Now, would you be in favor of leveling the playing field by changing the taxation rules? If so, why or why not? And I'm going to start off with Paul Hyde.
Thank you
You're welcome.
so much, Ken. I appreciate you so much. No. Where's the timer? Oh, it's moved. Look at that. Woo. Thanks, Vanna. Home-based businesses, obviously I have a storefront business, so that's why Ken picked on me first. But the whole thing is, small business is the backbone of our society. It pays the bulk of the taxes. We know that. We don't get the corporate tax breaks like the big corporation gets. So I have no issue with small business out of homes. If you choose to take your business out and have it on the storefront, that's your decision. If you want to run it out of your home, that's your decision. I don't have an issue whatsoever with having home-based businesses. If you want to grow, because your business can grow better in a storefront, take it to a storefront. But if you want to stay the same size, keep it in your house. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever, and I'm sure that they would feel the same way. So that's the answer to that question.
Thank you. Jordan Fernandez.
Unfortunately, I'm not a business owner, but I will agree with Paul here. You hit that nail on the head. As a business owner, you know better than myself. I unfortunately am not, and that's something that I'll have to look into, talk to people, and feel the thoughts of the city. I don't have that expertise. But like I said, when you talked about the expanding and getting a storefront, you got it right. I'm just going to agree with you there. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Yeah, Sharma.
Home-based businesses are at loss as well because they don't have storefront. So whatever business they do, it is on a lower scale as compared to storefront businesses. So there should always be 2 tiers of property taxes for home-based and storefront businesses.
Thank you. Philip Penrod.
Thank you. I want to say yes and no to this, and I want to tie together 2 key points: relentless engagement and collaborative innovation. While door knocking this summer, I met a man who you've probably seen driving around town. He has an electrical company. I won't say his business, because that's maybe not fair. Big dinosaur on his truck, though. Doing very well, he tells me. Looking for a storefront space, would like to grow his business in that way. What's stopping him? Commercial rents. When he does make that step, he's going to probably go to Nisku or South Edmonton. And so I think we should, yes, level the playing field, but my approach would be to work with businesses to address high commercial vacancies and outrageous rental costs. I don't want to put a black hat on the business owners who've built the commercial space and are sitting on vacancies. What I do want to do, though, is bring them to the table and find out what are the pressures that they're under, what are the challenges they're facing, and then look for win-win solutions so that we can bring those rents down. It's killing our current businesses.
Nathan Natellenboss.
Again, minute's not long enough for this one, but I'm going to go here really quick. So I think it's important that as you continue to grow as a business, you determine when you're able to go to a storefront. But I also feel like if you live in a residential community, much like myself, and there's 4, 5, 6 businesses in a given cul-de-sac that are becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're interfering with traffic, with parking, then yes, I do feel like taxes need to be adjusted to accommodate for that, because the storefront owners who are paying that additional tax are maybe not even seeing as much business as this home-based business is. So starting off, no, 100%. If you're a small accounting firm or something along those lines and you have 1 or 2 visitors within a day, fine. But if you have X amount of visitors and it's creating additional traffic, I do really think that there should be a tiered system that accounts for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to ask now a refreshingly positive question. Okay. Doesn't that sound good? Refreshingly positive question when it comes to politics, right? What has the current council accomplished that you support and are excited to build upon if elected? We're going to start off with Ashley Kingsbury, please.
Thank you for the question. I think current council has done a great job. No, is everybody perfect? No. There definitely are some gaps, of course, but I think they've done a great job with, and I know that this might be a hot topic, but how they're rejuvenating and beautifying 50th Street, for example. I think that is awesome. I've heard that it's not affecting tax dollars, so don't worry about that. But I love how they are moving forward with plans that have been made for. I looked at it. It was years ago. The beautification of Beaumont and the parks and whatnot. That's some things that I love that they're doing. I come from a point of urban agriculture. That's why I love that. And that's one thing I like. I only have a few seconds left, so vote Ashley Kingsbury. Thank you.
Okay, Jeremy Cornell.
Okay, the current council, as it's already been stated, I think they've done a lot of great things. We had a good council this term that's been working hard to accomplish a lot of goals. I think one of the things that people don't see unless they're attending every council meeting or watching them online or that sort of thing, which I try to do, is a lot of the work the council is doing, we're not even going to see the results for 4, 5, 10 years from now, because they're doing a lot of work and a lot of planning for our future and for future generations of Beaumontians. And I think that's really great. The strategic plan that's in place and that they're working towards has been a real focus for admin and for council. And I think that's really going to solidify our presence in the future. And I have kids who are raising a family here in town and others that hopefully will come back to the town once they've done their education and that sort of thing. So I really think that that is a significant accomplishment for our council, is just the long-term planning and long-term vision that they've had and have been working towards.
Thank you. Cash, did you catch that question? Were you able to hear it?
Did you hear the question? No. Yep. He's good.
Yep. Yeah, I want to just echo what Jeremy mentioned. I really like the aspirational goals of the strategic plan 2020-26 that I mentioned earlier. In terms of what council has done, in my bias and what I'm focusing is the investment in the innovation park. Although I would rebrand it differently, but I think that's a long-term game, but it'll be a game changer for Beaumont. Providing service land for the school, and I think that was probably long overdue, but they made that decision, hard decision, at the right time. And I think the focus now needs to be more on infrastructure, and I'm hearing a lot, whether it's the roads or the arterial roads. So the aspirations I like. I understand there are challenges in terms of needs and wants and the financial side, and that's what I keep repeating myself. We need to have the financial resources to provide those services that we need. So I'm very happy with that plan. I'm committed to it, and I will do my best.
Thank you. Martin Stout.
This is not going to sound very original because I'm basically going to agree with Cash. The two things that immediately sprang to my mind when this question was asked. Are we on here? The two things that sprang to my mind when I was asked was moving forward with the Innovation Park, bringing the AMTA and the RCMP and EPS to build facilities in that park. I keep asking Mayor Danluck when we're going to start cutting ground on that, and he tells me it's going to be certainly in the spring. So great moving on that. And the other thing is, finding the space, finding the public land to build two new, one Catholic, one public board schools, high schools in Beaumont, because they're both sorely needed. And that was a challenge.
Thank you. Anthony Colesmith?
Thanks. So the things I think that are still working really well that I'd like to, I believe that the work done already affecting the red tape, that's something that's council's done really well. They've met with the chamber 2 years ago. It's on the chamber's website, and you can see the video. And listening to businesses and trying to understand where those challenges are and begin that process to fix those challenges and address the elements that are getting in the way, and where we can improve the process and get out of the way where we shouldn't be in the way, and just let business get back to the business of doing business. Vote Anthony Colesmith, vote Anthony Colesmith.
Thanks. Before I ask question number 7, I was remiss in not introducing or letting you know that our MLA, Blair Lunty, is in the room. Blair, give us a wave. Okay, question number 7. What are your thoughts on 0 lot line homes, 3 rental units per home, and neighborhood parking? Yes, this will be a topic in Facebook tomorrow. I'm going to start off with Anthony Colesmith.
I'm going to need more than a minute. So I'll start kind of in the middle with 3 units per home. So right now the land use bylaw says you can put 3 units in any single residence, and I think that's a problem. The land use bylaw was innovative, which means it's new, and if you're moving to town, you don't think to look for it. And you buy into a town, you think it's a single residence home, and it's not. The single largest purchase of your life has been misrepresented. Then we're changing the character of the neighborhood. That house isn't worth 3 times as much. You get 3 times as many people living in it. That tax dollar to person ratio is off. Now we're supporting more people with fewer tax dollars, and that's a challenge. The parking on the street, it's spilling over. There are people parking on the street. You think 3 residents, that's 6 garbage cans. And that's an entire parking spot in its own, taking up the whole frontage in the lane. The utilities, when they were put in by the utility companies, they were sized for single-family homes.
Thank you. Ashley Kingsbury.
Oh, look at you.
Great points, absolutely. I like space, okay? It gets crowded. You have people parking on the street, it's unsafe, it's crowded. Just like Anthony was saying, I agree with everything you said. When it comes to tax dollars, it's counterintuitive. We are having an issue here with tax dollars and spending and whatnot. It's counterintuitive, but also it's crowded. For me, I'd prefer to have a home that's single family that has you have the space, you have the yards and stuff like that. So for me, is there a place for that? Sure. Should it be everywhere? No.
Okay, thanks. Nathan Natellenboss.
Thank you. This is also near and dear to my heart. When we originally purchased our house, we purchased in Triomphe, beautiful area. We thought we were going to have kind of that small community feel with traditional housing, with standard amounts of people in the house. Unfortunately, we were one of the first houses developed, and now we're seeing a lot of these houses being packed in super close to each other with suites being built in them, again, up to 3 suites, so basically 4 families within a given house. I have 2 young kids. They want to go play outside, and there's trucks coming in after truck after truck after car. We have small businesses, again, big trucks coming in. It's just too much. When I purchased my house, I purchased a residential house. I don't want to be living beside a hotel. So this is one of the reasons that I definitely stepped up to the plate here in terms of council, because I do feel that bylaw needs to be addressed sooner than later.
Thank you. Joseph Fernandez. Sorry, Jordan Fernandez.
Yeah. Oh, my last name is spelled wrong too here.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so this is a large topic. 1 minute, again, it's not nearly enough time. So I'm going to try and go fast, but clear here. The rezoning of low density to high density is a no-go. You have all the problems of the wastewater, the sewer, the parking, the schools, maintenance on the roads, all of that stuff that the infrastructure was built and not designed to handle. High density in high density areas. If you're going to build and develop new high density areas and plan for those and build the infrastructure to support those, that's a different story. Now, you also have the fire risk. You also have neighborhood disputes. You have more increased bylaw calls then, because you have houses that are so close. You know, I ran into some people campaigning out there, and they were talking about multi-generational families. So this is the positive side of it, high-density housing here, is multi-generational families in Beaumont that are staying here as renters from parents to kids, and they cannot afford to break into the housing market. So if they can buy a cheaper house in an area that's high density, that's great. Thank you.
Thanks. Jeremy Cornell.
Okay, this topic was brought up at the council meeting a few weeks ago that I was in attendance for, and I was pleased to hear that our current council has taken into consideration some of the factors as far as parking and emergency vehicle access. That said, obviously there is still a lot to consider. Another aspect to this that we need to consider is we're in the midst of an economic and housing crisis in this region, and there's a lot of people who can't afford affordable housing. So how do we balance affordable housing with not overcrowding our neighborhoods? It needs to be a definite consideration. Having 3 or 4 families in one house maybe isn't the answer, but we need to find an answer that will address both the shortage of affordable housing and the comfort and the reason we all moved here and the friendly, warm neighborhoods that we all want to live in. So I think this is a big problem, and 1 minute can't address it, and probably 1 year can't address it, but it needs to be a focus for our council and admin.
Thank you. Next question. Business and residents report growing concerns with costs of electricity and natural gas and municipal franchise fees on utility services. If you take a look at your utility bill, a municipal franchise fee is included on either your electricity or natural gas, in our case, both. That's money that's collected by the utilities and remitted to the city of Beaumont. So having said that, giving you clarification on that, I think the main reason this question is about municipal franchise fees. They've been identified as the top cost barrier levied on businesses by municipalities, plural. How would you approach reducing these barriers to job creation in our community? And the first one up on that is Yash Sharma.
Businesses are definitely growing our economy and creating jobs as well. So franchisee fee is a challenge, and of course, we as a city, we as a council, we should address that. And for that matter, we can negotiate with other providers and see the best possible solution we have for our businesses.
Paul Hyde.
Well, this is a very big topic because people that are on a fixed income are having a struggle right now with utilities, and franchise fees don't really help them because they have to pay it or they lose their utilities. That's an issue. The city of Beaumont collected over $3.6 million in franchise fees last year. So, and we do know that that can be capped at 30% and 20% respectively, but they're at about 17.5% and 24%. With a couple of, so they can go higher. The biggest thing that I want to do is try to keep that franchise fee down as low as we can. The issue is that $3.6 million went into general revenue. So how do you get rid of $3.6 million in your general revenue? Very, very difficult. So you need to find different ways of doing that, different efficiencies. Try to find the small parts that add up to the big parts. That's the only way you're going to do this, is through fiscally responsible government. And I can't say it's going to be gone, but I can say I'm going to start to look at reducing it.
Thank you. Martin Stout.
Thanks. Franchise fees, yes. Levied by the municipality on the electricity and gas provider as essentially a rental for the use of the public land to run the equipment, pipelines, electrical wires, transformers, valves, whatever, that's required to supply the utilities. So, are we competitive? I'm open to the idea that we might not be. I think we should review that, compare with other municipalities, quite possibly reduce them. I'm certainly not and to ensure competitiveness. Certainly, every source of electricity is getting more of energy is getting more expensive. So I'd like to give our residents a break if I can. Paul's already raised the objection, although that the funds raised from franchise fees when I was sitting on council were supposed to be directed to capital reserves.
Thank you. Philip Penrod.
Thanks. I'll maybe just kind of pick up a little bit where Martin left off. This was a question that I got hit with on the doors in 2021 when I ran, and I didn't know anything about it. So I got to work, and I did some research and found a really interesting white paper that challenges the idea that we should do away with franchise fees for two big reasons. One, we're sitting in a city facility here tonight. User groups use it all week. Should they get to use it for free? The city has a cost to maintain this infrastructure. Well, that's part of what franchise fees do. They're collected by the city as a fair rent for businesses that use city property to run the utilities through. So they help us to maintain easements. They help us to maintain infrastructure. That money is supposed to be put into reserve funds, and it tracks through directly into that work. What is wrong is when it's not transparent, and that was a problem in 2021, and it has been fixed so far as I could see. So any increase in franchise fees,
Thank you.
we would need to communicate as a tax.
Thank you. Kashmir Gill.
Yeah, I'd just echo what the previous other candidates have mentioned in terms of the need and of the franchise fees, the fact that they create 3.58 million, as Paul mentioned. The challenge then is, from my point of view, is why is it going into general revenue? If it's for infrastructure, that's we're collecting it. I would rather put that money in an infrastructure fund for ongoing replacement and maintenance. Secondly, if we were to cap it or reduce it, I'm actually quite in favor of trying to reduce it. How would you offset that? And Paul mentioned about efficiency. I think we need to take a hard look, maybe direct our administration to look at our overall operations. My background is in manufacturing. The first thing we do is try to remove non-value add. That's a simple thing to do. It adds to the bottom line. If we can look at operational efficiencies within the city administration, I'm pretty well sure we can get 5 to 10% out of that. That's what I would direct administration to do.
Thank you. Okay, next question. How will you attract businesses to Beaumont? And the questioners underlined the word a couple times, examples. So in other words, what are clear examples of how you're planning to attract business to Beaumont? And what will you do to retain them? And I'm going to start off with Ashley Kingsbury.
This is part of my platform, attracting business to Beaumont, because it's not just attracting business to Beaumont, it's also supporting those home-based businesses that want to move to brick and mortar. The cost here is high. Overhead is high. And part of that issue is like rent's high. So some of my ideas are to offer incentives to businesses. After 12 months of operation, you qualify for X amount, whatever council can agree on, $1,000 grant, whatever it is, to help offset some of the costs of having operations here. Because part of the problem is that our overhead is very equivalent to Edmonton. Why would businesses choose to have their business here when they have much more traffic in Edmonton? So we need to support those businesses, however means that we are able to do so.
Thank you. Yash Sharma.
Attracting business is a big challenge as of now. So what I feel is we have to establish commonality. Me being in media for 13 years, I have made inroads with prospective businesses who want to come to the city, but they are afraid of red tapeism. They are afraid of lead time in permits. So if that is taken care, commonality is established, we assure them that we will provide the best services so that their business grow. So we have to establish a commonality. We have to welcome them with open arms, and we have to assure that red tapeism will not come in their way.
Thank you. Nathan Tellenboss.
Perfect, thank you. Again, a very critical and an important topic. How do we get businesses here? I know everyone would love to hear the magical answer of, I got the solution. And it's not just one, it's compounding solutions. A few of them, and again, minutes not long enough. Struggle that I've seen with friends and them having teenagers is their teenagers can't find jobs here. So putting in a grant or an incentive for individuals to hire local would help drive down some of that cost. And that would also promote employment within Beaumont. Secondary to that is also making sure that we provide the resources that we can to these businesses. I know the current council has made some big strides there, and getting things like this innovation park in place is going to drive more business here. The more business we get here, the more competitive rent will be. So we do have a little bit of a control over that rent over time as we bring in more businesses. Yeah.
Thank you. Martin Stout.
Thanks. I don't, like Nathan, I don't have a magic bullet solution to this. I've grappled with this for quite a long time, particularly as to why commercial rents in Beaumont are so high. I'm not sure I have an answer for that. Certainly but one of the things we could do when Chartier recently flirted with closure, they cited high interest rates, high inflation, and high taxes as causes. So certainly, yeah, keeping business taxes down would be a good thing. I'd also be open to the idea. Currently, the mill rate for businesses is higher than for residences. I'd be open to the idea of reducing that differential a little. Of course, the consequence is the slack has to be borne by residential. So I'm not sure that in the end is a solution.
Okay, thank you. Jordan Fernandez.
Yeah, thank you for this question there. So this is kind of a double-edged sword, and it's been touched on a couple times here. I touched on this earlier, but I'd give two main reasons or two main options to attract businesses. Possible subsidies, that's a little more on the taxpayer's dollar. Another one would be tax breaks. That one is not as much of a burden at all on the residents of Beaumont, but I think it's a huge plan to bring businesses here. Why would they not want that? We also have a beautiful downtown core with lots and lots of businesses, and people want to come here. Seeing empty buildings is not what you want to see, and I think with these easy and simple ideas, you're not getting too lost in the mud, you're not getting too lost in the muck. It's straightforward. This is what you get. Come here, you'll thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question number 10. Prior to becoming a candidate in this election, how many council meetings did you attend in person? Have you ever presented at a council open forum? And the order I've got here is Jeremy Cornell.
The short answer is too many to count. Over the last 17 years, I've run a nonprofit here in town. I make an annual report to council at least once a year on our financial status and the outcome of that event, which draws 10,000 people over one weekend every June into the city of Beaumont. Those are people coming here to spend their money and visit our community. So yes, I attend as many council meetings as I can. I watch a lot on the YouTube because I have a busy life as well. More recently, I've been trying to attend in person because I'm running for council. So I'll be honest with you about that. But yeah, I've presented to council a number of times. This past June, I lobbied council. There was a proposition put forward by admin to shut down one of the council committees, the Beaumont Arts Council, and I successfully lobbied council to reverse the decision on that, and we still have a Beaumont Arts Council because of my lobbying. And that's somebody's phone, not the timer. That's confusing. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, whose phone was it? We need you to stand up and dance. Okay, were you done? I'm good. Okay. Paul Hyde.
So yes, not too long ago, myself and Camille Berube sat in front of the council and we tried to have a presentation and the PowerPoint did not go up. Have you ever had this happen? It's not fun. However, we did advocate on behalf of the Community Circle Thrift Center and the Satellite Leduc and District Food Bank with the council and successfully won our bid in order to be able to have some funding over the next 3 years in order to put this initiative to our some of our very marginalized members of the community. We feed over 85 families here with the food bank, and we wanted to make sure that they didn't have to travel to Leduc in order to get their hampers. So it was very, very rewarding for us to be able to have that through council, and it was one of my proudest moments to be able to bring this to fruition here in Beaumont. And I attend many of the other meetings locally, and yeah, so that was a great experience for me. Thank you.
Philip Penrod.
Thank you. I believe it was in March that I presented to council the annual update from the Parks, Rec, and Culture Advisory Committee, which I have chaired for the last 2 years. I was just checking my calendar because I wanted to see when our next meeting is. It's tomorrow night, so we'll be taking a night off from campaigning to do that work in the committee until hopefully I need to step away from it when I'm elected to office, if we're successful. And then just a little later in the month, I'll be sitting with the Community Grant Advisory Council to do that work, hearing to the reasons after the last election. I had said that I was all about engagement, and when I wasn't successful in being elected, I thought I better put my money where my mouth was. So I got busy and applied for those two bodies, and I've learned even more about my neighbors and what they're passionate about. This is really where my tenet of enthusiastic inclusion has come from, seeing some of those really cool initiatives being generated from community groups.
Okay, thank you. Anthony Colesmith.
So the question was, how many did you go to before you became a candidate? I couldn't tell you, I've lost count. I've been to many. I've presented at least 4 times, one of them against the land use bylaw, I think maybe twice against the land use bylaw. I've gone and supported other members of our community group are also canvassing against the land use bylaw and the multiple suites. And the nice thing about going to council meetings is there's usually a lot of seats and you get to sit wherever you want because there's generally nobody else there. But it's been good, and taking the time to meet with the other residents who are of the same mind with this land use bylaw has been much appreciated, and just there's only so much you can say about how many times we went to council if we're being honest, and I'm trying to stretch this out. So vote Anthony Goldsmith.
Thanks. Kashmir Gill.
Yeah, when I first moved to Beaumont 60 years ago, one of my passions was to hearing about the Innovation Park. So I approached the mayor of the day, John Stewart, and councillors to provide my input. I was also appointed to the first member of the grant funding committee for 3 years. We streamlined that process, and I made presentation to council, either myself or as a co-member of that committee. We've also streamlined that process. And finally, my other intervention, I would say, is to really look at my neighborhood, and we found that the playground didn't meet the needs of the growing community. So again, I approached the mayor and a few councillors and worked with the administration to actually put a federal grant application for $75,000 to expand the playground in Forest Heights. That wasn't successful. The fact is, I was there, and I watch YouTube meetings regularly.
Thank you. So that's question number 10. That means that every candidate has had the opportunity to answer an equal amount of questions. So I'm going to throw a wrench into it. I'm going to ask one more question, because it's coming from a friend of mine who's a retired teacher, and after all these painful years of not recognizing that, including elementary school, of you don't tick off a teacher, I'm going to ask the question. Bear with me. So if we go over 5 minutes, it's my fault. Okay. The question is for the candidates: do you support a move to 24-hour on-site police in the city of Beaumont? And the person I'm going to ask first is Jordan Fernandez.
Yes, thank you. It's a pretty cut and dry one. I think we all agree that 24-hour policing is needed. Beaumont is growing exponentially. We've grown, I think it was by 16,000 people by 2004, since 2004. We all know the crime here isn't terrible. It's not the worst things in the world, but there's a lot of mischief, a lot of petty crime, and a lot of small things that I feel can be brought down from a higher police presence. And 24-hour policing is the first thing that needs to come for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip Penrod.
Maybe this is one that I can not go right to the end on. Do I support a move to 24-hour on-site policing in Beaumont? Yes. But the devil's in the details. So a move could look a lot of different ways. Are we talking next year? Are we talking 5 years from now? Are we talking 10 years? Are we talking very gradual, or are we talking immediate? I'll come back to my opening statements. Anyone elected on October 23rd is not being elected to a brand new council with a brand new mandate. We're joining a team that exists already, and so it was important to me to touch base with the two councillors who've resigned. When I talked to Rene Tessier, this was one of the pieces that he felt passionate about, that he was elected with that mandate to pursue, and that he didn't get the chance to see through. And so my commitment to him and to you is to see it through.
Okay, thank you. Kashmir Gill.
I think the short answer is yes. But as a backup, I'm very fortunate to be on the Edmonton Police Service Chiefs Community Council, representing the needs of the community. So I've seen from the inside some of the challenges that a big city like Edmonton faces, and we're seeing some of those challenges here in Beaumont. I believe 24-hour service is necessary, but is it sufficient? I think it's better utilization of our police assets, resources, both officers and vehicles. We need more police officers on patrol, walking and engaging with the community. I think that provides you a lot of intelligence as what's happening in your neighborhood. I've spoken to a number of police officers from Beaumont that have given me those insights. So I would say better utilization of the resources that we have, more foot patrol, better engagement, better intelligence to better provide those protective services.
Thank you. Anthony Colesmith.
Thank you. So, yeah, the short answer is yes. Do I support 24-hour policing? Sure. With the caveat, though, that I don't want to be seen as telling the police how to operate. They look at all sorts of metrics, and when things are occurring, they use proportional distribution of man hours to allocate staff. I know when my father was a policeman here, way back in 1998, we had not quite 24-hour coverage, but very close, and there were only 2 members. So I feel like we can get there now. I feel like it's achievable. And I think it's just a matter of working with the police and looking at the budgets and what the numbers actually look like as far as crime stats and incidents, and make sure we're addressing the issue correctly.
Okay, thank you. Yash Sharma.
Police 24 hours, absolutely. But do we have budgets? No. So we have to take baby steps in right directions, and before we don't increase our commercial tax base, I don't think we can have 24 hours policing. So for that matter, we have to strongly work for commercial tax base. And once we have enough budget, we must have 24 hours policing in Beaumont.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes the question and answer period of tonight's forum. A round of applause for everybody for their comments. And thanks for staying within time. You were a very good group to moderate. I must say that in the years that I've been moderating, sometimes it's not so much. Not in Beaumont, of course. But I remember in one community I actually had to almost toss two of the candidates off the stage.
Oh, wow.
Because they really got into it. All right, so all candidates will now have 1 minute for closing remarks. Please do your 1 minute from where you're seated. Candidates will be announced in opposite order of introductions, and we'll have 1 minute. So that means we'll start off with Martin.
Thank you. I'm going to refer back to some of my remarks earlier. One of the reasons I think municipal taxes tend to always increase is that our current budgeting process itself is biased towards that result and not towards necessarily maintaining stable and sustainable levels of taxation. We currently start budgeting with a business as usual approach to the previous year's operating expenditures, to which we then add wish list of new expenditures from both council and administration. Council debates which of those wish list items will be funded or not, and a budget is set to raise enough revenue for the grand total of approved expenditures. But if we are going to be fiscally responsible, then I think we need to do a different, more goal-oriented approach. I think we need to start with how much revenue can now raise without an increase in taxes, and then use this amount to fund existing operating expenses, less any savings that we can make before we start to add new expenditures or increase existing ones. So tonight I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to reform our budget process along those lines. Thanks.
Yash?
City has so many challenges to face. City council has to diversify. City needs full-timer like me to serve, as there are challenges with youngsters, and 2 councillors have already left the council. I am matured, experienced, involved person of community. I, Yash Sharma, ask for your vote and support.
Thank you. Philip?
Am I using the rest of Yash's time, or? I'll take it.
No.
Thank you. Friends, every day since June 27th, my team and I have been speaking to residents and reaching out to businesses and to community groups to better understand what is going well and what needs improvement from the most important perspective. I wish I could say that was the Chamber of Commerce. Second, that's got to be second. The most important perspective is your perspective. On October 23rd, your vote for me is a vote for relentless engagement. I will ensure that my decisions in council chambers are directly tied to conversations with you, at your homes, in your places of work, over coffee, or while watching your kids practice at the BSRC. Beyond that, your vote for me is a vote for principled leadership, where current decisions and future plans alike reflect a generational awareness of our treasured history and our shared future. Finally, your vote for me is a vote for fiscal responsibility that is obsessed with returning maximum public benefit on every tax dollar collected. It's your vote. My name is Philip Penrod.
Thank you. Nathan?
Okay, I'll make this quick here. I'll start with that last question because I never got in on it. 24-hour policing, yes, yes, yes. And when? Now, now, now. Because we got to look ahead, we got to be proactive, and we got to protect our community and our families. Second to that, I'm going to talk really fast here. We talk about all these programs we want to throw in place, but how are we going to fund it without affecting the actual taxpayer, the individuals, or the business owners? Well, one of the things I want to propose is adjusting our off-site levies. So we actually don't have a traditional off-site levy similar to other communities where recreation, fire, police, and transit are often captured in that off-site levy, and that levy is covered by the developers. So we're not the ones here making the millions of dollars. Business owners, small business owners aren't making the millions of dollars, but these developers are. So let's hold them accountable. Let's use some of that funding to help offset some of the programs we want to put in place and reduce the financial burden that goes on your guys' tax dollars. Vote Nathan Natellenboss, vote Nathan Natellenboss, vote Nathan Natellenboss.
Oh, young Jedi. Jeremy.
All right, thank you all for coming out and taking an active part in our local politics. I hope this event has brought some clarity to your decision-making before the October 23rd election. I personally feel like I've been campaigning for about 17 years, and it's about time, and I'm looking forward to the results on the 23rd. Community values, maintaining everything that makes Beaumont great, safety, policing, accessible healthcare, fiscal responsibility, and well-thought-out decision-making are all the key points to my campaign. Like you, I want Beaumont to be a place we can be proud to call home now and for our future generations. So I'm committed to that long-term vision and strategic planning that needs to happen. I'm ready to go to work. I understand what the job entails, and I hope that you will trust me to be your representative on City Council. As always, I'm available for any follow-up conversations. Send me an email, give me a call, visit me online, or let's meet for a coffee or a cold sea change beer, and let's talk about Beaumont and what we can do to make it greater than it already is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony?
Yeah, thanks everybody for taking the time to come here tonight. Thanks to the candidates, and thanks Beaumont for your questions. It was kind of fun. You never know what's going to get thrown at you. I strongly believe we need to focus just not what future residents might want, but also on what current residents need now. We need to plan for the future, and we really need to consider what it is we want our city to be. We need leaders who are passionate about Beaumont and who bring new perspectives, and they're willing to do the work. Most importantly, we need leaders that are willing to ask the hard questions, the uncomfortable questions, and to make the tough decisions. And I genuinely hope you'll take the time to learn about all the candidates and read their platforms and see what they're all offering. And since I got 17 seconds, I'm just going to talk about those franchise fees and say that I think they need to be walked back. I don't think they're proportional. They're not favoring businesses who perhaps use the utilities to run their business like a restaurant. It's unfair to them. Vote Anthony Colesmith.
Thank you. Ashley?
Thank you for having me. I am just as excited and terrified as I was when we started. So I just want to say thank you so much for listening to us and coming out to this forum. I'm excited to be able to grow relationships with council members and be able to represent everybody as a whole and represent stay-at-home moms and working moms and moms in the community. And that's a lot where I come from is that. And I just want to say also thank you so much to my hubby. He is awesome. I joke that if he was running, he'd win because everybody loves him. But he's been massively important to supporting me. And I know that with 2 babies at home, that he will continue to support me, and that that will never be an issue for me. So thank you so much again, and have a great night.
Paul?
Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for running this event. It's great that we could get this out there, and thanks to everybody at home. Thanks to everybody that came to attend. Beaumont is struggling because of one major issue: exponential growth. Councillors are faced with some huge challenges, everything from infrastructure to safety to affordability to maintenance to recreation, all while trying to maintain the identity that we all love, that is Beaumont. I have made Beaumont my home for my family and my business. We are an amazing community. We have a culture here that is unique, and we need to make sure that we grow responsibly to protect it. I would like to help with that growth. I want to be your counselor that you can count on to make sure that we maintain that identity all along the way, making sure that we have fiscally responsible government and growth. Thank you.
Thanks. Kashmir?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this evening you heard about the passion and visions of all the candidates. As your counselor, I will advocate and make sound policy decisions for our entire community. I bring proven experience in governance, business, and community building. For example, I serve on the council of the University of Liverpool, my alma mater in the UK. I serve on the board of Goodwill Industries. I've served on the Rotary Club. I've served on a dozen non-profit organizations. I've helped to build a healing garden at the University Hospital Foundation, raising $2.3 million. I've also helped to build sports fields in Edmonton, raising $1.5 million. As your council, I was focused on these priorities: broadening revenue streams, strategic and measured growth, quality, affordable, and safe services, excellence in governance and administration. On October 23rd, I ask that you to help me, Kashmir Gill, to be your voice and representative on council. Thank you, and God bless.
And Jordan?
Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick little thing here on what Nathan said. I believe the city does receive a holdback or bond for new developers to help maintain and repair the infrastructure they put in. Doesn't mean that it's perfect. We can always amend that. And on my final thoughts here, ladies and gentlemen of Beaumont, as we stand at a crossroads in our city's future, I want to thank you all for your time and attention throughout this forum. The role of a city councilor is one of immense responsibility, and I stand before you today not only as a candidate, but as a fellow citizen of Beaumont who deeply cares about the well-being of this community. 1 minute isn't enough time to go into all the in-depth topics that we talked about and mentioned today. I look forward to continuing this chat with all constituents, and I hope you will reach out to me with any questions or concerns about anything that I have on my topics tonight, because being a counselor means always learning, growing, and adapting for the community, and that's you guys. Vote Jordan Fernandez. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to Catherine for final remarks.
Thank you, Ken, and as always, a fabulous job moderating. That's why we call on Ken every single time, and he's always available. So thank you to all of our candidates for your active participation in our candidates forum this evening. And thank you for all of you who attended tonight and for the questions that were submitted. Thank you to our Beaumont Chamber directors on our board for assisting in putting together this forum for Beaumont residents and business and together this evening, and of course for Ken for moderating. So before you go tonight, we want to do a quick plug for the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce. So before we leave here tonight, the Beaumont Chamber will be hosting our annual awards gala in November. This is an evening where we celebrate the brilliance and achievements of our local businesses and individuals who will do so under the shimmering stars, because we're calling our gala this year, we're calling it Starry Nights. That is our theme. I'm just going to hold this up here because we're going to put it at the back of the table, so there is a QR code there, but we'd love for you to come and have a look at it, take a look at it online. Our nominations and ticket sales are open. If there is a business in this community that you feel should be recognized, please see Julie over in the corner over here. She can assist you with any nominations. So further details can also be found on our chamber website, so at beaumontchamber.ca. So on behalf of the Beaumont Chamber, we wish all of the candidates the best of luck during your campaigning, and thank you all for attending tonight. Have a good night.